Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. Thank you so much for joining us today on our Winners Wednesday session live interview. I am very, very excited to have Sheryl Moser joining us today. She's one of our Oklahoma City agents. She's absolutely a rock star, as you guys will find out today. And Sheryl, I know that you're super busy, so thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course. Always,
Awesome.
always fun to talk to you.
Likewise. It's been too long since we've seen each other.
Yes.
Well, great. Well, Sheryl, I know that you've been in the industry a long time, and you've had various roles as far as, top producer, team leader. You've mentored a lot of agents. Let's just take it from the beginning. How did you originally get into real estate?
Let's see. Back in 2000, I bought a house. And before that, I had been doing real estate guides. I did advertising for a newspaper, and I had to go meet with all of these agents to put all of these guides. And a lot of times I had to take the pictures. And some of the agents I dealt with were just so rude, and they were making money doing real estate. And I thought, well, if they can be that rude and make money, I'm a whole lot nicer. I could make money doing real estate. And I just found myself loving being in houses, the decor, just kind of all of it. I loved it. I don't know, it empowered me, I guess. And so I just decided one day that I was going to become an agent. And my husband was teaching at the time, which, teachers unfortunately don't make a lot of money. And he said, "What? You're going to leave a paying job for a commission job?" He was kind of freaking out about that. But I said, "I can do this. I know I can."
I didn't know that he used to be a teacher. So, you learn something new every day.
Yes.
And, you bring up a good point. I mean, unfortunately, I hear all the time that, real estate agents get into real estate initially because they had a bad experience. And so that's one of the reasons we love to do this Winners Wednesday and really highlight top producers and people that have been in the industry a long time and see what some of those successful traits are. Because, there's a big opportunity in real estate, and we definitely all want to treat it correctly. So you got into real estate. You left a paying job, to basically being a business owner, commission to commission. What did that look like in the beginning for you?
Oh, it was scary. I think the first year I actually lost $6,000. I went to the wrong company. I was in a smaller town. I went to the wrong company first. And what I realized is you need training. And the first company I was with did not do any training at all. And it's so important to get training. Our company, for example, has so much online training. And had I had that in the beginning, I would have been way more successful, because you can be anywhere and do your training online, and it's awesome. And I didn't have that. So working with an office that just cared for you, I feel like it's really important to at least have a few people in your circle that do what you do, that you can call and they're going to be there to answer questions. And then the training, those two things are so important. And you have to have a caring attitude.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So support and training. I always say the same thing. I got into real estate 12 years ago, so you beat me. But, I wish I had the training that we have available now. 12 years ago, we had to go find it, right? So
yes, we did. And I was in a rural town, so we had to drive to Oklahoma City 2 hours just to come to a lot of the trainings. And so that people do not realize how blessed they are to have online training.
So let's talk about that. How did you transition from, a smaller town to now you're in, you dominate the Oklahoma City, the Yukon market. So obviously a new market for you. How did you make that transition?
It was hard. It was very hard in the beginning. My husband transferred with an oil field company. So we had to move from a smaller town to this. And I tell everybody there, I was a big fish in a small pond. And then when we moved here, I was a very small fish in a very big pond. And that's scary because I knew so many people. When I got started in real estate, I decided to market differently. I'd been in marketing for years doing newspaper advertising, and I wanted to market myself. And everybody who had in 2002, newspaper was where everything was at, newspaper and radio. Believe it or not, there wasn't all the Facebook and all of that. I think MySpace might have been around. And
Oh, I forgot about MySpace.
MySpace, yeah. So I went to, because I was poor and I was just starting in real estate, and my husband was a teacher. I went to J.C. Penney's and I had them take a picture of me with my hand, just kind of, here, I'll do this, kind of like flat. And the lady thought I was crazy, the photographer. She said, "Why do you want to do that?" And I said, "I have an idea." And so I took that picture to the newspaper and had them superimpose a house in my hand. And my slogan was, "Put your house in my hands today." And I ran that ad for a year. And I just started getting all of this business. People would call me and say, "You just look nice. You look friendly. I like that you're advertising you. You're not advertising houses." And so that's kind of how it started. And then I decided I wanted to stage, which nobody in the town I was in was doing any staging at all. I was the first agent in that town to stage. Mm-hmm. So I started just buying things here and there. A lot of white towels, a lot of white bath mats, things for kitchens, things like that, pulling stuff out of my own house, because vacant houses I felt looked better when they were staged. And so I started doing that, and I built up a storage unit full of stuff. And we didn't have professional photographers back then either. So I took some photography classes, made sure I kind of knew what I was doing on the editing end, and just kind of put it all together.
So you mean to tell me you're treating it like a business, right? So you're, yes, finding the necessary tools that you needed and doing paid advertising and just treating it as if you're going to open a store, right?
Exactly. And you have to. If you don't invest in your business, you're not going to be successful. And I don't mean by buying leads. I did that years ago, and I really feel like that's not the right thing to do. If you just work your circle, work your sphere of influence, I know you hear it over and over and over again, but it's true. And work your neighborhood. If you live in a neighborhood, work your neighborhood. One thing that really helped me in Yukon, I lived in a neighborhood where they had a big garage sale, and it's actually one of the biggest garage sales in the state of Oklahoma. And a realtor had always ran it, and she moved out of the neighborhood. And so she called me and said, "Do you want it?" And I said, "Of course." And I grew it. I had banners printed. I had corrugated signs printed. I brought in food trucks. There had never been food trucks before. And I thought, well, people are leaving the neighborhood. Let's keep them in the neighborhood. Let's keep them shopping. And my name was on everything, branded. And all the food trucks were sponsored by Sheryl Moser, Wonder Woman Homes. That, again, just, you have to make a name for yourself. So if your neighborhood doesn't have a neighborhood garage sale, create one. Mm-hmm. If it's not being done, you can do it. And a lot of people don't realize that.
Well, and I think to even piggyback off the garage sales, you even had local billboards. So, you very much created that niche and farmed a certain neighborhood and became mm-hmm. very successful at that. Yes. So do you think, obviously you're great at marketing. You have the Wonder Woman Home brand, brokered by EXP, the billboards, the garage sale. Do you feel like your marketing background really played a role into your success in real estate?
I do. I think you have to get creative. And if you don't know how to be creative, someone in your circle is creative. And so reach out to those people in your circle. I know when you just get started, it's hard. You don't have a lot of money to put into those things. But handwritten note cards, no one does those anymore. And so do those. Christmas cards, Christmas is coming. Do handwritten Christmas cards. You might have to do 25 a night for several nights, but do them. There's so many things you can do that don't cost a lot of money. Mm-hmm. That people just don't want to put the time into. And piggybacking on that, I'll say, once you become successful, you're going to find out who your enemies are, because a lot of people would rather turn you in and try to take you down than put the time that you're putting into your business into their business. They'd rather destroy you or hurt you in some way. And I've had a lot of that. So guys, once you become successful, just expect it. I always tell people, the first time I got turned in for something, I was so, oh my gosh, I'm going to get in trouble. Oh my gosh. But then the second time I thought, this is a compliment. Somebody noticed I'm doing better than they are, and they're jealous. And instead of putting time into their business, they're turning it on me. And so if you just look at it that way and you just let it go in one ear, out the other kind of a thing, you're going to be fine. I mean,
Right.
everything I do now, I send to the real estate commission to make sure it's okay first.
Hmm.
And I wrapped my car for several years. I had my car wrapped with
I
Wonder Woman.
remember. Hmm.
People said they saw me all over the place, and I was all over the place, but half the time I wasn't even where they thought I was, but they thought they saw me. So that's, again, marketing.
So between the car, your signs have your, your branding on it, the billboards, the garage sale. So you really just, had that presence. And, for those watching, I just want to say, unfortunately, when you become successful, if you don't have haters, you're not doing something right. So that's
Exactly.
perfectly okay. That just means you're doing something right.
Yes.
But we don't want to focus on that. So our
No, I just always mention that because it'll happen. It'll come,
Yes,
and
right.
just deal with it and don't focus on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, how did you transition from, so you grew your business, you started out, and then you started your marketing stuff and became successful as a single agent. At what point did you realize that you wanted to start a team?
Well, at the time, I was at Keller Williams, and they were really big on pushing teams.
Hmm.
And I had seen some teams be successful. I had seen others not. And I thought, well, if I can find the right people, I'll try this. And I did. For a couple of years, I had a very successful team. I had the right people. And you do have to have an admin. If you're going to start a team, your admin, that's one thing people press. You have to have an admin first. Now, I didn't do the admin first. I waited till I got the business and then added the admin. I kind of did it backwards, but you have to do what works for you.
Hmm.
Not everything that you read in a book or you see in a motivational seminar is going to work for you. You have to tweak it. So just be willing to tweak it. But an admin is so important. You have to have somebody doing your paperwork if you get that busy, because we
Right.
had 12 to 16 houses under contract at a time. And when you're hustling like that, you have to have an admin.
Right. Or things will start falling through the cracks, which we definitely,
Yes,
definitely
very
don't want.
quickly. And I learned that. So you have to have that support.
Right. No, absolutely. And that's for anyone, right? Anyone
Mhm.
watching out there. So, or yeah, even newer agents. I talk to newer agents. They're like, "Hey, I just want to go out there and get the business. I don't want to do the paperwork." Well, all right. Well, then you need to hire the right people. So, it doesn't mean, as Sheryl mentioned, you don't always want to wait until that point when you need it. You have to do it first. So, now I want to so you were at Keller Williams. You had your
Mhm.
team. I really want to highlight today that you're an early adopter to EXP,
Yes.
meaning I think we had just hundreds of agents. Now we're over 69,000 agents. You've been with EXP, I believe, over 6 years now.
Yes.
So what made you completely shift and move over to this little bitty company that's now this huge enterprise? And
You.
what has your
You
experience been
believed
so
in
far?
it. You were so passionate about EXP. Every time I turned around, you were talking about EXP, and I thought, oh my gosh, she just needs to stop already. It's funny, and,
I
and
still haven't stopped.
you and I were frenemies for a long time. You didn't even know we were frenemies, but we were. And I say that because she had some listings in my neighborhood. I was a little upset with her, but
Hey, I thought we
we,
were good friends now.
I know. We had a deal together, and we both just really, really had to pull together and make decisions to get it together, and it worked. And when I realized that you were that kind of agent, I knew you were a great person. And then we started
Thank
really
you.
talking about EXP, and then my husband and I met with you. And when you showed us the plan, it just made sense. And being able to work from anywhere is amazing. Um, I love that. I love the trainings online. I think when I came over, stock was like 84 cents a share. And people were making fun of me and they kept saying EXP who?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, laugh at me now. That's kind of funny.
Because, stock is a little bit different since
A
then, right?
little bit
So,
different. Yeah.
a little bit different. So we're not making any stock projections, but I know when I joined
No, no, not at all.
October of 2014, it was at 21 cents. You can Google us, EXPI. We've uplisted to the NASDAQ. So we're playing with the big boys now, right?
Yes.
On the NASDAQ market. So what are some of the things, you went from, this huge company to this little bitty company. Now you've seen it grow. How has that impacted you and your business?
We're a name brand now. People know who we are. People, oh, I see your sign. I hear about your company. We're out there just like all the other big players now, and we're recognizable where we weren't before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of fun that people really know who we are now. Another thing, when I was at other companies, I do want to say they wanted to hold everything in, like keep secrets, and you didn't share listings and you didn't talk to people about the way you were doing business. I've always been the complete opposite of that. I'm willing to share anything. I do not have a team any longer. I'm just a solo agent again, which this year has been a little wild being a solo agent. I think I'm having one of the best years of my career. And that's another thing. I've never since day one focused on the money. Never, ever. In fact, most of the time, I don't even know what my paycheck is going to be until I get to closing. And I will tell you, if you don't focus on the money will come. People don't believe that, but it's true, because the one thing I'm coming in contact with is a lot of agents focusing on the check and not focusing on the people that are part of the deal. And when you
they
take
feel that.
Yes. And you have to be a problem solver. And if you have some care in the deal, then you're going to get a problem solved, and you're going to be able to keep the deal together. And so many deals are falling apart right now because they're so worried about the paycheck. And it's like, no, just don't even think about it. Focus on the deal, solve the problems, get to closing, then you get the check. And I tell everybody that you can't focus on the money.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I, really, for anybody that's taken my coaching and my training, is helping agents reach that financial freedom. And one of the ways we can do that through EXP, as you mentioned, is the stock and the revenue share. Because, just as you mentioned, a lot of times we put our emotions first when we're waiting on the check. But when you start to make residual income, or you have stock, or you have money where, you're not so forced to need that commission check. Yeah. Are you going to walk and talk a little bit different? Are you going to treat your clients a little bit different? Right? Because you no longer need it. You're doing it because that's what you care about and what you love to do. So I think that's one of the big opportunities that EXP gives us. Now, you mentioned name recognition. So, I think you were very pivotal and very instrumental in the growth of EXP Oklahoma City. As I mentioned, you're one of the early adopters where nobody had heard about EXP, one of the first top producers to move over. What has changed from, before nobody had heard about EXP? How have those conversations changed to now, as you mentioned, even the general public has heard about EXP?
It's fun. If you go on a listing appointment, they'll say, oh yeah, your company has 3 other houses listed in the neighborhood. Or, yeah, I saw the story about you on Facebook, or your company. We have some great leaders at EXP. I posted a picture the other day of Jason Gessing and I think 4 or 5 years ago. They're approachable. You can talk to them. They are very down to earth. There's no ego that gets in the way. And that's another thing. I'm not an ego person. I don't care how successful you get. If your ego stands in your way, you're not going to bring anybody over. You're not going to have a good business. You're not going to be successful. You have to back off, because believe it or not, the public sees ego. And we don't have that with our leadership at EXP, and I love that.
No,
I didn't go to EXPCon this year, but years past I have. And I mean, they stop and talk to you. Come sit down, have a cup of coffee with me. I've been with other big companies, and we didn't get that.
By the way, they still do that. I mean, it's even now we're 69,000 agents. There were 5,500 at EXPCon, and you would see Glenn, you would see Jason, and they would sit and have a conversation with everyone. So I think that's one of the things that I really admire about them too. I've got a good quote for you about ego is not your amigo. So oftentimes we miss opportunities because we're not looking, because our ego gets in the way. So with that said, as we kind of wrap up here, what are some of your future goals? I mean, obviously you've dominated your market. You're doing extremely well. You're an early adopter. You've done well with EXP. Where are we going to see Sheryl next?
Well, I actually started another company recently to help couples going through hard times. I'm trying to think of the right word to say. Basically, to help marriages stay together, to help couples stay together. I became a relationship and intimacy coach. I got my certification for that, and I was really going to hit the ground running this year with that. And then real estate went crazy. So I kind of had to pull back on that. But there's so much divorce in Oklahoma. There is all over the world, and it's something that I'm passionate about. Helping couples work through things to help keep their marriage together. Something you didn't even know I was doing.
I didn't. I'm learning several new things today.
Yes. And it's just talking with couples that I can help through issues that are so workable, but sometimes it helps to have a mediator. And I've been a coach before. I've been a life coach. I've been through a lot of coaching training. I've coached so many agents. And I love doing that. I still love doing that. And any new agent, especially the ones that are in my downline, I always help. They know I'm a phone call away. But I just saw a lot of marriages breaking up, and I decided I've been through a lot with my marriage, and we've worked through everything. And marriage is hard. And if you're in it forever, you have to work through these things. And so it's something that I'm doing, and I love it, and I'm passionate about that too. So I'm just trying to find time for all of it.
Well, that's awesome. We might have to leverage some of it out in order to get some of your time back, right?
Yes. But,
Well,
and that's the other thing. I make appointments for family. I think, when you're a newer agent, so many people are just working so hard, they forget to put their family on their calendar. My first couple of years, I didn't do that. I lost so much time with my family, ball games, plays, things like that. And now they're on my calendar. It's part of my day. It's important. I pick my daughter up from school every day. I go to the gym every morning. I've been doing it for several months. I have an accountability partner, my neighbor. You have to have an outlet. Real estate is stressful. And if you don't have an outlet, whether it be the gym or some other
bottle of wine,
that still happens, usually with several girlfriends. But I mean, it's just, you have to have an outlet, and that's important too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You got to take time for yourself. And like you said, family should always come first. Sheryl, is there anything that maybe I didn't ask that you want to share with everyone today?
Oh, be a problem solver. I may have touched on that just a little bit, but I see, again, so many deals blowing up because we forget that our job is to keep a deal together, and 99.9% of the time it's fixable, it's workable. Both people just have to bend a little bit. And as agents, sometimes we get emotionally involved, and I've started asking agents, do you have equity in this transaction? Meaning, are you the buyer or the seller? And most of the time the answer is no. So if you don't, take yourself out of the equation, and we're problem solvers. Let's fix the problem, whatever it is. It's usually workable. But you can't put you in the middle of the deal. You just can't, or it's going to bust.
So basically don't answer for your clients, right? Which we shouldn't be doing anyway.
No, but a lot of people have. So it's important.
I love when I used to, ask a question. They're like, no, they won't do that. And I'm like, you didn't have a chance to even ask them just now.
Yes. And I've gotten better over the years when agents start getting, I'll say mean. I'll just use the word mean on the phone. I'll say, you need to take a step back and think about how you're talking to me right now. Because again, our goal is to get the transaction to closing. And the way you're talking to me, we're not going to get there. So if you need to take a break, call me back in 10, 15 minutes, and we hash this out again. Let's try this. But you have to be okay with saying, this is not okay. And let's come back to this. Or, this deal's hard. And, I know you might cringe when you see my number when I'm calling you. But we're trying to do is get this worked out. Problem solving. Right. Because we are the firefighters, we are the coaches, we are a real estate agent wears so many hats that if you're not willing to wear all of those hats, then you're in the wrong business. Because that's who we are. That's what we do. And after doing this for 20 years, I'm doing something right.
Absolutely. And what is the statistic? 87% don't last over 2 years. So
yes,
you are. So Sheryl, for anybody that might be looking at, joining your organization in EXP, or even interested in the new coaching endeavor that you're taking on, what is the best way for them to reach out to you?
Really just call my cell phone. It's everywhere. Or Sheryl.Moser@exprealty.com. Just email me. I'm always a call or a text away. My phone's always next to me. I always answer.
Awesome. Would you mind sharing your phone number for those that
Oh,
don't
no.
have it?
It's 405-808-3039.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Sheryl. I appreciate you joining us today. Keep up the great work, and we're
Thank
really
you.
excited to see the future things that you continue to do.
Okay. Thanks, Micah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.